First of all, thank you everyone for joining here. Welcome to this session of Nikon. It's a very basic pre-purchase session, which is for people who don't have any idea about the DSLR and why they should get this DSLR in their hands and why they should start using them. My name is Mazhar. I'm working in Nikon Middle East since 6 years now, almost, and I'm working as a photographer more than that. Let's say around 8 years now in the industry in UAE. So I will share with you my experiences, and I've done photography in different events like sports, wildlife, also fashion, portrait, different categories of events. So thanks to the company, I get chances to attend horse races and World Cup, Formula One, car races, everything, all of them. So it adds more in the real life experience, because you get to go there and then you're having the best of the equipment and then you're trying it over there. Okay. So I will share with you some of the basic knowledge that we can avail out of using these cameras. Okay, and before starting, I just want to know from all of you, how many of you are already using a DSLR camera right now? Okay, next question is, which brand are you using? That's an important one. All of you are using Nikon? Wow, that's surprising. Okay, one Canon. Anyone else? Okay, all of you are Canon. 4 people. Sony, how many people are using Sony? Okay, not there yet. Okay, so great. So we have good percentage right now. That's what I can see from a whole session. I'm sure you all are from different departments. Okay, maybe you don't have that much link with photography or in terms of the media part of it, but somewhere in life you might be using or doing photography. Right now maybe it's through a mobile phone, but later on maybe we will try to change you towards the DSLR camera. How well we can do that, of course it will take a lot of sessions and interaction with all of you. So with this basic, what actually is happening here is that when we are when we started this program in let's say 3 years back in Middle East, we started as a Nikon school. Nikon school is a very well established name in the world already since many years. But in the Middle East we started 3 years back, and we have some limited trainers who go around in the Middle East. Like even myself, I go around in other countries, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Oman, and Qatar, if I can say the name. So these are the places we are traveling, and we are giving basic training. It comes in 3 categories. One is the beginner, then intermediate, and then advanced. So idea is that when you buy a camera, we don't leave you alone, like you just buy the camera and then you are thinking in your house, okay, how to use it, how to start using it, because the courses which are happening for this photography are mainly, you can see them happening at the university level. Okay, so and now you're in a corporate level, you cannot go back to a university level and have that much time and hours of out of that week, and then you go there to start learning photography. So what we are trying to do here is that we don't leave you alone, because we still have your database. We still try to send you a link where you can register for this program. So when you buy a camera, you are automatically enrolled to attend 5 sessions of Nikon school. Okay, very easily, no payment required for this. Once you buy the camera, you're already eligible for them. And then apart from then, that involves let's say basic, and then there is portrait session, then there is event session, how you can do events photography, which can be in your house as well. Maybe you're having a kid's birthday party or something, how you can do good pictures over there. Then there is a session which is CLS, how to be an expert in flashes, how can you start using flashes in your daily life, how it adds a value to your pictures. Then there is a session on basic video as well, because these cameras are not for photography only, but they also have a very high quality HD video recording as well. So how can you use it for a video recording? So all these sessions will already, by the time you finish all these 5 sessions, you're already a good level of photographer or even a videographer, because you already have an idea. You don't need to go somewhere outside to learn them right now at this level. So you're already aware about the whole camera. So this is the whole system, this is how it works. Now what we will be talking here is a very short form of what we are actually doing there. Okay, This is a very basic session, and I will try to look at the points which will help you right now at this level, and then we are going towards the second level. Then we will open up to a little advanced area, because that's an advanced session. So here I will not try to scare you with all the technicalities or with all the manual settings in the camera, but we will just move with a very light flow over here. So as we start, if somebody wants to see any of my work or pictures, you can go on any of the links. There you can find them. And apart from them, there is a second link which is of Nikon Middle East Facebook page, which is very interactive. You can go there and you can find out what all trainings are happening in UAE, in other GCC countries, what all trainings are happening, what is happening in Africa. So we keep on posting all of our activities over there. We are having photo walks, we are having different events by professional photographers. You can go on any of them, and you can find the registration link. You can just register there without paying anything. So it's always free for you. So right now, if you're not even using a Nikon camera, you can still register for those sessions and you can still attend them. Okay, so you don't need to have a Nikon camera to attend them. So it's more related towards photography. It's not brand based. The sessions that we will be doing, like basic and all, those are related to the brand. But the other big sessions which are by a photographer, or let's say a photo walk, you can always go, you can attend them. Okay, so you can register for them. Also, if your friend is, let's say you are a Nikon user, but if your friend is any other brand user, even they can register with you and they can go for these trainings as well. Okay, so that's the second link. Okay, I will skip this because normally we are sharing some house rules in the basic session, that you should have your mobile phone on silent and you switch off your Wi-Fi and data, because as soon as you switch it on, you get busy with the phone, so there's less interaction. Another thing is that I will prefer that all of you, if you have any questions, you can note them down, and you can remember them. You can ask me in the end individually. It will be best for you to interact with me as well, and it will not disturb the other people. Let's say maybe they have little less technical information, it might confuse them. Okay, moving on, as I gave you an idea why we are here, what we are trying to do is that when you take beautiful images, you just don't click it by the camera. You should have some idea, you should have some of your own creativity and background behind it. What happens here is that maybe when you are taking a picture, okay, you are having, let's say, a point and shoot camera or a mobile camera. What picture you are planning to do is by the mind of the camera or by the mind of the point and shoot camera that you're using. But the goal that we are trying to do over here is that we are trying to tell you that you can use your own creativity while using a DSLR. You can add some of your own creative elements. You can change some color variation, you can change some angles, you can frame in, frame out. All of those, these are the things that you can do, and so it will make you stand out from other people, because maybe at the same place other people are also standing there and they're also taking the same picture. So how will you make it look different from other people? Okay, so as an example, I'm just telling you, you might see a lot of different kind of pictures for the same frame like this. Okay, but how will you make it look different is maybe you will add some color variation, like you will add one single color in the whole picture. Okay, before what used to happen was you require a lot of editing and Photoshop for doing all these things. But now it's very easy. Within the camera you can do this. In our cameras you just have one option. After taking the picture you can still do it. You can still select one color out of it and you can make the whole picture black and white. So it's as easy as this. So within the camera you can do it. You can add, maybe you never know, that picture looks much more interesting than the picture that you see around you. Then you can do some color variation. You can have maybe darker shade of orange, maybe you can have a brighter shade of orange. So all these are the things you can start doing when you are starting to use a DSLR camera. Okay, more idea towards pictures like these, where you can start having the most common thing, blurring the background. Everyone wants to do it nowadays. Everyone wants to create a picture like this. So normally people think that I will require a very expensive camera to do this. It is not like this. Even with the basic kit cameras like I have here, the very basic D5300, you can do pictures like these. It's just about the concept. It's about the the logic. What way you are using the camera. What is your zoom? What is your level or frame or all these things. It's just by adjusting all that you will be able to achieve them. So what you are doing exactly here is that you are framing your subject, okay, and then you are trying to emphasize on the subject which you want to have by selecting the focus points, and then you can eliminate the unimportant background around it, okay. Then capturing some fast action around you. Let's say what happens now is that maybe when you're using a mobile camera or point and shoot camera, when you take a picture it becomes blurry if the action is really fast, okay. So let's say not even actual real fast action, maybe family members as well. If a kid is running, when you're trying to capture his action, it's not happening. You're not able to connect that speed. Okay, so here it gives an idea to you in a DSLR that you can freeze that action. Still you are showing the speed, but still that picture is so sharp that it can give you an idea that what was the the action or what was the story behind it. Okay, so things like this you can start creating in your pictures. Also capturing emotions around you, friends and family. What happens now is that let's say there is some celebrity who just walks inside the room, and you're having a DSLR camera. So normally what people think that, okay, I have to set up immediately this camera in order to take his picture. So by the time you're setting up the camera, the celebrity is already gone, okay. So that emotion is already gone and you're not able to take a DSLR quality picture of him. So what we are telling you over here is that we still have one part on our camera which is still doing some preset modes to you, okay. So like a preset mode. So for example, you don't have to set up the whole camera while the celebrity is here. You just have one dial on the camera, you just change that dial towards that preset mode and you are able to take a DSLR quality picture of that person immediately, okay. You don't have to set up that camera and it will still be a DSLR quality picture. So meaning normally people think that their DSLR becomes like a very difficult and complicated area, but it also has an easy part which you can use easily to get your pictures, to immediate pictures like urgent, all those pictures you can still do them. Then another thing is that when you are able to take these fast pictures, you have to maintain your timing as well with them. For example, you are able to freeze the action, but you don't know what is the right time to click that picture. Sometimes you will take this picture before this action was happening. Maybe it will not give that feel. And maybe you will take this picture after this action was happening. Even then it will not give that feel. So you have to click it on the right time so it gives a story to the audience or to the attendee that you're looking at your picture. He immediately gets an idea. So the story is that the picture, of course, when you are uploading a picture, that's it. You can just upload the picture. You don't write a sentence with it that, okay, my picture, this is my story, I want to show this and all that. All that, it never happens. It's just picture you are uploading. So when you upload a picture, people should immediately get an idea that this is your story and this is your message. That's the goal. If the message is clear and anyone looking at the picture can get an idea, then you are a really good photographer. If it's a confusing message and the people are not sure and they're getting two different kind of messages, then it's it's not according to what a general audience will like to see. Then we also do some other kind of pictures in our camera which are artistic, which are really different from the usual pictures that you see. These are the pictures where you cannot where you cannot see by a human eye. For example, by a human eye you can never slow down water like this. If you're looking at the water, you can never slow it down. You will always have some movement happening in the water. But here in this case, what happens is we have some settings in the camera. By doing that, we can slow down the action which is happening inside the frame. So inside your frame, whatever movement is happening, that can create an effect. And those are really different pictures nowadays, long exposure pictures. A lot of people are doing them because they really look different from the usual pictures. Usual pictures are always good, but if you do something unusual in your picture, but still your message is the same, because you're still showing the landscape message. The message is clear, but you're just giving it a little different view, different kind of look, which by a human eye, nobody can do this. So by using a camera, you can do this. And also again, For this you don't require a very expensive camera. Even with the basic cameras, they also have this same kind of setting. You can start using it as per the instructions what should you be doing, because of course for these you really require a tripod stand. You cannot do it by hand. Okay. All right, so I will move to a little different area now. Okay, some importance I will give you about this part on the camera. Okay, any idea what is it called? Anyone knows it except for Mr. Babar? Any idea what this place is called? And where is it exactly in the camera? The front side where you're connecting the lens, right? And what is it called? Maybe anyone has heard from Google or somewhere, something like that. Sorry? Horseshoe? Okay, no. Anyone else? No. It's just written here. That's the name. It's not no. Yes, so it's very it's sometimes people think it's a very difficult thing will be there, or maybe you might have heard. It's just written there, the F mount. Of course, we will not write the name of something else over here. So that's an F mount, and this is a very important part in our camera, because this F mount was made in Nikon cameras since 1959. So it's coming the same way since then. If I show you a 1959 camera, it's like this. So same F mount. Okay. So how it gives a benefit to the customers nowadays? Now, if you buy a camera now, let's say a new camera having an F mount, maybe your grandparents or somebody who's having an old Nikon camera, you can still use the lenses that they have, like a collection of Japanese handcrafted lenses are there. You can still use them on this camera nowadays. Okay. Of course, there will be some manual adjustment that you have to do, but as a picture you can still use them. Okay. So this is something which is not there in competitor brands. This is something which is a very makes a customer proud if he buys this camera, because he can use the same amount, or let's say maybe you are having not on the old lenses, maybe you are having an old camera body. You want to use a new lens, so you can still use them. The mount is same, you can still use the new technology of the lenses, the VR is there, vibration reduction is there. So some different new elements will be there which you can still use them on the new mount. So idea is that if you plan to upgrade your camera, because the upgrade is like this, it's like a new car. Every year there is a new model. Okay. So the new model of the camera, you don't need to sell the set of lenses that you have. You still keep the lenses with you. As some photographers say that the lenses are like jewelry. You invest in them one time, they will stay, the value will remain there. But in the camera bodies, it goes down, it changes, because there is a new model coming every year. So let's say you keep your set of lenses, you invest in them, you can keep with them as a collection, they will still give you the same value, like maybe somewhere down or something lower depending on your usage, but still that amount that you have invested, you will always get them. Now what you do is that you only change the back part, the body of the camera. So you change the back part, you upgrade, maybe there is more megapixel, there is maybe more ISO performance, something, Wi-Fi is there, because nowadays Wi-Fi is also coming in the camera. So you just need to change that. Another thing is that people think that if you are having a lower end camera, you cannot use the lenses that you see in the football matches. You see the huge lenses in the football matches? Those lenses you can still use on this camera because of the mount. The mount is same. So you just have to invest in a lens, or let's say you borrow from a friend. Your friend is having all the collection of high-end lenses. You can still use from them. You can borrow, your mount is same, you can use them for a while. Once your work is done, and you can return them back. So it's like this, because these are the confusions which normally people have, that if I'm having a small camera, I cannot use the other high-end camera lenses on my. As far as is Nikon, you can still use them. Okay, DX full frame or crop sensor, you can still use them together. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, to this part, to the mount part, that's true. For Nikon actually is the only brand in which you can use like 14 years old or 15-year-old lenses or even the today's modern DSLR. I personally own many lenses and I own like 40-year-old lenses and I'm still using it on the new camera bodies which just released like a couple of months ago. So Nikon is the only brand which is compatible when it comes to lenses all the way. From old camera bodies to new camera bodies. Like you can use old lenses not only on the old DSLR but also the new DSLRs. Canon doesn't support that much. It supports up to 1987. Beyond that, it doesn't support any more lenses. Same goes for Sony. Sony doesn't have their own lenses, line of lenses. They depends on Zeiss. They depends on other companies. So that's Sony's issue. But Nikon, they don't. It is compatible all the way.
Thank you. Okay, so now after this, another important part which is very basic, because when you buy a camera, of course, everyone around us, when we see them using a DSLR, the first basic thing is the how to hold it, because by holding itself it can give a lot of problems in your picture. Like there can be a lot of moving, shake, some blur can be there, so just by little movement in the camera. So when we see let's say when I see new people holding a camera, okay, how do they hold it? They hold it like this. This is correct or wrong? Wrong? Why it's wrong? What is the wrong? This says bad way. Now all the time we will read there. Yes, we don't have stability on the base of the camera, okay? And why people are using it like this? Any idea? Yes, they're using the screen. So they're thinking mobile works like this, so this camera will also work from the screen. So what actually happens is, if you're using the screen, I've seen sometimes people are even touching the screen of the camera, they're thinking maybe it will work. So some of the new cameras now, they have touch screen, but otherwise in the the regular DSLR basic we were having, it's not a touch screen also. So you have to close the screen. So idea is that people think that they cannot take picture from the screen. They can take picture. Okay, the screen picture you can still take, but you have to see the mechanism. When you use the screen of the camera, this camera becomes like a point and shoot camera. It's no more a DSLR camera, okay, because the screen is on. So it works like a point and shoot camera or a mobile camera, not on the DSLR mechanism. So once you close the screen and you use the viewfinder, that's when you will actually get the DSLR quality of the camera. The mechanism is DSLR then. So this screen is only there for maybe, let's say, some areas where you can use it. You're not able to view it from the viewfinder. You can move the screen and you can use it. But apart from that, you can use the screen for video recording. That's the purpose, that video recording is not done through the viewfinder. You have to use the screen for making them. Okay, so that's the idea. Now, if you are holding it like this, of course, everyone knows that what is happening. The base is not stable, and when you are holding it like this, your hand, when you breathe, it starts moving. Okay, so there is no stability because you're breathing. You cannot be stable for that long. So what you have to actually do is you have to follow this method. First of all, there is a grip there on the camera. You grip the camera with your right hand. Okay. So when you're gripping it, of course, this finger is loose for the shutter button. Now you will do the second support, because this is your first support. The second support is coming from the second hand. Okay. Always like this, but then your hands should not be up in the air. It should be close together to the body, because as tight as you can do it. If you leave it up in the air again, it will start making some movement when you are breathing. Okay, so this is your second support. Now when you're having your fingers on the lens, these fingers are working like a lock so that you don't move the lens. Normally what people do is, another mistake is that when you take picture, sometimes people are already zooming and taking picture. That way again there will be a movement in the camera, there will be a shake in the camera, because you should not zoom in, zoom out while taking picture. You always have to first zoom in, zoom out, make your frame. First make your frame, the frame is fixed. Now the same hand goes as a base, because while you are zooming you cannot make it as a base. You zoom in, zoom out, make it there, and then put it as a base. Now these two fingers again become like a lock, so that the lens does not move. So you only press and then you will be able to get the picture. But another third step is there, which is that you have to get the third support by putting it on your face. So viewfinder goes on your eyes. Okay, so this is very important, because if you don't do this, you have a gap in between, again there will be some movement in the camera. So these three steps are the most important one if you're not using the camera on a tripod. Okay, and also if you're not using a tripod and you're still, you have to somewhere, you have to bend down and take picture. For that time being, what you can look for is a stable surface, maybe where the base of the camera is at least not moving. You can place it on the base. The base of the camera is there. You can frame in, frame out yourself. You can level it down, up, and then you can fix your frame, then take the picture. So these are all the steps when you don't have a tripod stand like this. Okay, and the stability is the issue. So you can place and try doing this. I don't say that 100% of the blur will be gone. Almost 50% of the blur which is happening by the movement will be gone, but the rest of the 50%, of course, you have to do some adjustment in the camera. By doing that only, then you can fix that.
What's more important, the lens or the camera?
It's a very difficult question, because sometimes it's depending on the lens, sometimes it's depending on the camera body. Actually, it depends on the kind of picture you do. So if you're specifically looking towards sports, then you need a faster camera body. If you are looking towards detailing pictures, or like, let's say, macro pictures or something, then you really need a lens which can do macro, because the other lens, maybe the body is nice, but the other lens is not able to do the macro picture, zoom in, close-up pictures that you're looking for. So detailing will not be there. Another thing is that if the camera is giving you, let's say now our camera is giving 45 megapixel. If the lens is something which is not able to deliver that 45, then you will never achieve that in a picture. So you have to make sure both are also compatible and giving you that the camera, what camera is promising, the lens is also delivering it, okay, on those lines. So it really depends on the picture, and sometimes it depends on the kind of pictures you're doing, speed or detailing, all those macro. Okay, so now the most important thing, after when we are able to hold our cameras, we know what exactly we are doing and where we are taking picture. Now we will see our goal. What is our goal in that picture? Now here you can see that everything regarding the focusing is there. Okay, why? Because focusing will give you what in the picture? Any idea what will the focus give you in the picture? More detail, sharpness. Okay, anyone else? But the idea for focus is that what we are trying to achieve in the picture. For example, what is your subject? Because this focusing, you're doing all this focusing for showing what? Your subject. Because if the subject is not important, to show the subject of your picture. Okay, so the subject, if it becomes clear, then the viewer who's looking at the picture will always get an idea that this is what you're trying to show. If the subject is not clear, then you're missing on the picture. I'll show you a picture, for example. This picture is perfect, but still there's something wrong. Color is correct, frame is correct, okay, lighting is correct, but still there is something wrong, which is focus. Okay, yes, so focus is there or not there? It's there, right? But point of focus is not correct. Yes, so what is happening? What is the subject of this picture? Birds. And where is the focus? Focus is going on some other place. So this is what the usual mistake that everyone does. Okay, if your focus is matching your subject, then that's always the correct picture. If your focus is not going on the subject, it will go somewhere else, here and there, then you can never find out what is the subject. Now I can change the subject of my picture. I can make this as the subject, then I can use this picture. But if my subject is not this and the subject is something else, then of course I need to adjust that focus. Okay, so reaching towards this, of course there are some steps and there are some modes in our camera that you can adjust and do the focus as per your requirement. But the main important thing, okay, let's see, when you adjust it, it becomes like this. It's clear on the bird, the focus is clear on the subject. Okay, so this was your idea. Now if you show this picture to anyone, you don't need to write a sentence with this, that this is what my idea was, or this is my story, you know, I want to show the birds or something. You just upload or show the picture, everyone will get an idea, because focus is correct and the subject is matching it. Now going towards the step of adjusting this focus, there is one more step that you have to do when you start taking pictures in the camera. Okay, this I say most of the other brands are also having it, but this is something which is very important, and this is first thing that you have to adjust in camera one time only. Okay, so where can you find this? Of course, this is right next to the viewfinder, and what is it called? Any idea? Now everyone will read from there, I'm sure. This is diopter control. Okay, so this diopter control is a very tiny button right next to the viewfinder, and this is used for what? Any idea? Anyone knows till now?
You're wearing the glasses.
Okay, very close to it. Okay, yes, you have an answer.
Your viewfinder.
Sorry?
It's the eye adjuster with your face.
Exactly. So
Everybody's eye has a
different eyesight. Okay, so exactly. When people say eyeglasses, I say I don't agree with it. It's something to do with eyes, nothing to do with eyeglasses. So even if you don't have eyeglasses, still you have to arrange this. You have to still match this with your eyesight, because this is a one-time adjustment. What actually happens is you have to correct the vision inside the viewfinder with your eyes. Okay. Now let's say you go back home and your camera is used by your brother or sister. They will, when they are taking picture, their adjustment is different. They will adjust it as per their eyesight. Once you take the camera back, then you will be okay, again it's becoming blurry, I cannot see the vision. So you will have to adjust it again as per your eyesight. If your camera is not used by anyone else and you are the only one who's using it, then you don't need to change it again and again. Okay, if your camera is used by other people as well, then you have to arrange this all the time. So this is very like this has got nothing to do with the outside world. What is happening outside the lens, nothing to do with that. It's just an adjustment before you start taking picture with your eyes with the viewfinder. Okay, so normally when we adjust this, we are telling people that you don't need to even keep your lenses open. For example, if this is the camera, you're adjusting it, you have to close the lens, because nothing to do with outside. Okay, so when this is closed, you will see inside the viewfinder a vision like this and a black screen. So you will see some numbers coming below. Okay, so numbers has got nothing to do with the reading, has got nothing to do with the viewfinder. Okay, you're only looking at the numbers to get a reference. Okay, now you look at those numbers and you start changing the diopter. When you start changing diopter, the numbers will look blurry and sharp. The moment they look sharp to your eyesight, that's it. That's your, the correct reading for your eyes as per the viewfinder. Okay, so one time adjustment, just look at them inside, adjust them, because value will keep on changing, different numbers will keep on coming. Don't worry about it. We are not looking at the number value. We are just looking at the numbers to get a reference, because we don't want to get outside the lens. So we're looking at them and we're adjusting it. Okay, so this is one way of starting this camera when you're going towards the focusing. Now there is a method that you have to always follow in this camera. Normally people think that you will just press this one button one time and you will be able to take pictures. Okay, so what happens is, maybe you're going to some restaurant and you're giving the camera to waiter to take your picture. He will take picture, he'll just press it, take, and then he'll be gone, because they don't have that much time. So when you are looking at the picture is there, but it's not correctly focused. Why? Because he did not follow the right method. The method is that you always have to half press. When you position your camera towards the subject, okay, you position and then you half press. When you half press, what happens? The camera measures the distance between both of you, like the camera and the subject. It will make the subject clear. Once the subject is clear, then only you press the second press and then you will take the picture. It's not a long 1 hour process, it's just half second. You have to give that much time for camera to give you a beep or to give you a light signal from here that it's already focusing the subject. Okay, so one time adjustment just towards the subject, half press, get the focus, second press. You don't even have to remove the finger. So finger is there, just take it below and then second press. Okay, this is why, because you're using auto focusing system of the camera. Because if you are using manual focusing, you don't need to do this. But most of the time nowadays everyone is using autofocusing because it's very fast and is as per our requirement, and it's all going towards that accuracy that we are looking for. So autofocusing still working fine, very good, but you just have to follow this method. And then you have to do another thing on the camera, which is this adjustment, because if you don't adjust this, then you will not be having autofocusing system switched on. Okay, so what does it stands for? A and M? Automatic and manual. Okay, everyone agrees, because in some basic session we also get answer like this is afternoon and morning. Some new customer will say, oh, this is afternoon or this is morning. That's the timing control we can do. So this is not afternoon and morning, this is automatic and manual. We have to adjust it as per our requirement, and most of the time you are using it on automatic, that's why I adjust it towards A. Now by mistake some people, somebody changes on M, and there are some occasions when people brought the camera to the showroom and they're saying my camera is not working, there's something wrong and you gave me a wrong camera. So just by changing this button, automatically it starts autofocusing. So this is the kind of difference it can do in your pictures. Just by changing this, it starts making the camera on manual focus. So better to check this all the time, that it is switched to autofocusing A. Then you will always feel whenever you're pressing the button, the camera is automatically autofocusing on whichever situation. That is for auto pictures. This is for focusing system. Yeah, on the dial there is automatic, which is settings of the camera becomes automatic. In that case also, if you put it on automatic and this is on manual, even then the camera will not focus. Yeah, it will give you the setting, but the focus it will not give you on automatic. So there are two things that we can adjust in our camera. Okay, I will not get into a lot of details of this, because this of course we will cover in the next sessions with the camera in hand, so that you have a camera in hand and you will be able to get them. But I'll just give you an idea what these modes are doing, because this is something that gives an advantage as per your requirement. You can adjust them. Now two things are there. First one is where it will focus. When you are taking a picture, you have to tell the camera where it should focus. What is my area where I need the focus. Then there is second one, which is how the camera should focus. Okay, the mode, like you have to tell the camera this is how you should focus. Okay, you should focus fast, or you should focus as a slower subject. All that you can decide among yourself inside the camera. And there are also options that if you don't want to keep changing all of them, you can still set on one of them and it can cover all your situation also. So it's also like this. Normally people will think that only manual features are there, but there is still some auto modes within this focusing also, where you don't have to worry about focusing. The camera will take care of depending on your situation. So if I'm selecting one of them, like for example I'll just tell you, if we are selecting, let's say AFS, autofocus single, by name itself it says single focus, that means one time focus only. Okay. So for example, this is for which kind of situations. I can tell you all those situations where you can use this. You can use this for a situation where you don't have a subject which is moving. The subject is stable. Okay, it's not moving, you are also not moving. The distance between you two is not changing. If the distance is not changing, you can use this mode. Okay, you fix your camera towards him, you half press, you get the focus, second press, take the picture. One time only focus. Now in the second picture, you change your place from there to there. Now your distance has moved. Then the focus is gone. So you have to again regain that focus. You again half press, you get the focus, second press, take the picture. So it's just like one each time you have to get the focus as per your change or as per your distance changing. Now there is a second one which is for continuous movement. This is for autofocus continuous. Now you are looking at a subject which is continuously moving. Distance is continuously changing. Okay, so for these situations you will try to use a mode which is AFC, autofocus continuous. So this can be used for situations where, let's say, you are taking pictures of kids, moving cars or pet, some movement which is continuously happening, distance is changing, you will use the camera on this mode. Now in our cameras there is another mode which is not there in the high end camera, but for basic photography users we have this mode which is autofocus automatic. Okay, this is a very general focus mode which can cover almost all of your pictures. Okay, so why? Because you don't have to worry about focus in this. This will cover everything. What it is actually doing is it is a combination of both AFC and S both combined together in this one. Now here camera will decide as per the situation. Camera will decide if it's a stable situation, it will move it to AFS. If it's a moving situation, it will move it towards AFC. So it's as helpful as this. So also we could recommend everyone to use this, and by default also camera comes on AFA. So it covers almost all kind of focusing subjects where you have moving or non-moving. It will try to cover them. Okay, so next one is area, which is also, I'll just give you a short review on this. Also very common nowadays. Everyone wants to use it. Single point, the first one. Okay. Now this is where you have to tell the camera where you want to get the focus. Okay, which is what's your area. So if you select single point, let's say you have a situation like this. Now instead of middle flower, you want to focus on the flower which is here on the corner, which is blurred. Okay, out of focus. So what you will do here, you will just change your point. Now here people normally think that okay, I can move the camera also, but if you move the camera, then your frame is gone. Maybe you're looking for a frame which is like this. Maybe you're looking for a background like this. So within that same frame and background, you can still change your point. How can you change it? You can use the arrow keys which are there on the camera. You move the point from the middle to the other one. Okay, and just when you move it, you will see the picture changes like this. Okay, no more in the center, it's coming on the corner now. You will see all the focus happening there. So this is how easy this is. Like you just have to move within the frame with your arrows, and the frame that you are selecting, that's all up to you. How, what is the situation, and where can you use this? You can use this for general all pictures, even let's say portrait pictures. You can use it for let's say 2-3 people are standing, but you want to have focus on one person. You can try to use this point. Other people will start becoming blurred, the faces will be there. So generally even for a flower picture, water bottle, 10 water bottles are there, you want to have focus on one, you select the point and keep it on one, rest of the other bottles will start becoming blur. So these are the kind of pictures, especially for blurring the background, you will be using this focus point. Now in this focus point, you have to remember one step which was very important, as I told you before, that when you move the point, when you move the point on the other subject, you have to do another step, which is what? Half press, exactly. Because you will half press, then only the subject will become clear. Why? Because this is a new distance for camera. Maybe the other flower was behind, maybe this flower is a little closer, so when you change the point, the focus will not automatically come unless you are on AFC. But if you are on AFS, you have to again regain the focus, half press, get the focus on the subject immediately. Now this is for regular situations that you will use, single subjects are there. Now there is a second important one, which is autofocus automatic, which is full points like this. The last one you can see. This is more let's say if you are looking towards giving the choices to the camera to give you the selected area. So you half press, the camera will give you auto area within the frame. Okay, so it is not mainly for one subject. It can be contrast detection will be automatically done by the camera, so it will try to detect what all contrast it can see in the frame. It will try to give you so a bigger frame in this situation. Okay, yes.
If the object, say we have a continuous moving object.
Yes.
So can we do the same, or we'll have a different technique?
Continuous moving, you mean AFC and this one?
The area, yeah.
Yes.
We want to focus on something.
Yes.
But however the object is moving.
Yes.
So will we use the same technique? Or?
This one also, or you can use the dynamic and the 3D. It also depends on subject movement. For example, if the subject, let's say, is a bike and is going only two-way, left and right, then you will use dynamic options. Okay. So this also I will tell you what happens in dynamic is that your frame is set and you should not move the camera with the subject. The camera should be on its place, like a tripod or by hand. When the bike enters the frame, your point you will put it on the bike by arrow keys. When you put it on the bike, you half press, the point will start following the bike wherever it goes, till the time it's inside your frame. Once it goes out of the frame, then it's gone. So within the frame you have to half press and get its action, the motion also, and then you half press and second press also to take the picture before it goes out of the frame. This is for dynamic two-dimension movement. Now there is a 3D, which is 3-dimension movement. For example, for a bird. Yes.
So when you do the second press,
Yes.
at the time when the bike enters the frame or at the time when it's exiting the frame?
No, that's up to you. You have to decide that what is my position or what kind of frame I need. Okay, because this focus points will be locked on the bike during the whole time. Okay. Yes, so it will be just locked on the bike, but you have to decide that when is the best action picture I can see, and that's when I can click. Okay, that's when the picture will be taken. So little advance of that is 3D, which is not for two-way, it is for three-way also. So because the bird will not go in same line all the time, it will go even left, right, here and there. So for that movement, the point will be on the bird, and when the bird moves, the point will keep following it wherever it goes, till the time it's inside your frame. Once it goes out of the frame, then the focus is gone. So you have to half press and keep tracking the bird, because this is a tracking focus point. It keeps on tracking the bird. Wherever it's tracking, then immediately you press another time and you take the picture. When you take the picture, it's up to you when you want. You want the wings to be up, you want the wings to be down, that's all in your hand. But within that time, the focus will still be on the bird and it will keep on tracking it. But there are some calculations for this, because you cannot just directly do it. You need to put the camera on tripod. You should make sure that the camera does not move with the bird. It stays there. Another thing is that there should not be any other bird moving in the frame. Otherwise, maybe the point might jump to the other bird. So it should be like only focused towards the bird which is there, like zooming in towards the bird or the movement which is happening. So it only tracks the one which is locked there. Another example of that you can see here, the car is moving, the 3D track is on the car which is there. It will still keep on tracking it whole time, wherever it goes, back, front, okay. And when you take the picture, finally the picture you have taken, the main idea was that even with that movement you are getting so sharp picture that you can crop on number plate and you can see the details. So idea is this. This all, of course, autofocus area mode can also do, but it might not give you that much clarity and sharpness after zooming in on that subject. But here, since the 3D tracking was continuously following the car, it is giving you this much idea that once you take picture, it is still giving you 100% crop, and it gives you an idea like this. Okay? So this is mainly your idea from this focusing system. Okay. Yes.
This 3D tracking is basically more dependent on the camera body or more depends on the lens or combination of both?
No, camera body. The higher end will have more powerful 3D tracking, and the lower end is having less powerful. So meaning detailing catch wise, it will be a little less faster than the higher end, because higher end 3D tracking is very accurate, that it will immediately track and go. But here you might have to a little bit, maybe in 3 series maybe you might have to a little bit struggle, but 7 onwards it's okay. Okay, so okay, let's go to the easy part. Okay, that's focusing. Of course, that focusing system, why I was telling you, because that focusing you can adjust them in all the modes that you see on the camera here. Okay, even if you're using auto, even if you're using let's say the preset modes of the camera, you can still adjust that focusing mode. Okay, but why I'm emphasizing on this preset mode, because as a start you can use them as a backup. Okay, till the time you're learning the other modes. What are those other modes? Other modes are MASP. You will always see them in a bracket on the camera dial. Okay, you can see them separately written there. What is the reason? Any idea? MASP. Yes. Why they are in a bracket separately? Any idea?
It is programmed like you can select all.
You can do some of the settings in these modes. That's why. Okay. Rest other ones you cannot do any settings in exposure, lighting, and everything. But you can still change the focus mode. Focus mode and all that you can change. But in terms of exposure, you cannot change, you cannot do any changes in the rest of them. But MASP, you can change the exposure also, you can change, you know, some value in all of them, which can be manually done by you. So these are like semi-auto, let's say. But of course the manual becomes complete auto, but the ASP are, you know, semi-auto. Okay, so for example, even I think in other brands also it's with some other name, but here for Nikon it's always in MASP. Okay, so as a name you can see when you are, you know, sometimes you want to try to recall, you can see M stands for manual, A for aperture priority, meaning aperture becomes in your hand. Okay, you can set the aperture, rest of the settings camera will do. Shutter becomes in S, shutter priority, shutter becomes in your hand, and rest of the settings camera will do. So you cannot change aperture over there. Now in program, what can you change in program? Any idea? ISO only. Shutter aperture you cannot change. You just change the ISO, that will affect the shutter and aperture. The camera will keep on changing as per your ISO setting. So in all of them, the bracket ones you can change. Now if you are using the camera out of them, like say the other common ones which are portrait, landscape and sports, what happens in them? These are the same emergency, you know, urgent keys that I was telling you that you can use if you see any celebrity walks in and then you're thinking what camera mode I should use. You just immediately put it on portrait and you will be able to take pictures of let's say celebrity or anyone moving or anyone standing or anything like, you know, any single person. Okay. So here the message is that you are looking for a background blur picture and you have one, you know, important subject that you want to emphasize on. Okay, but this is the message, but it never says that you use this for people. You can use this for a bird also. Okay, the method, the logic is same, portrait, but put it on a bird. You can use it on a water bottle, you can use it on a pencil, pen. The subject is all your, I mean you can decide what subject you want to keep. So it's easy, you just select the subject, you put it on the mode and then the camera will do the setting as per the lighting which is there in the whole environment. So as easily as that it can be done there. Yes, sorry? Yeah, it should be only one subject because idea is that you are creating a blur behind that, because if you use this same for the landscape or something else then your message is not matching it. For example, I'll show you the other one which is landscape. Okay, here your message to the camera is you don't need any blur, because in landscape there should not be any blur, it should be full frame all in, you know, clear and sharply focused. So what the camera is doing, the camera is adjusting the setting as per that. So top to down, left to right, everything will be clear. So here you can use this for a situation like this. Okay, down, top. Just changing on that you will see whole frame becomes in focus as the camera is deciding and adjusting it for you, and you just take the picture like here, there, background also clear, front also clear. But the idea here is that landscape, now you can think what other things you can use this mode for. Wedding group picture also you can use this. Put it on a wedding group picture, put it on landscape, you can take, because the message is same, that you want the behind person clear, you want left right person clear, and front clear, background clear, the whole frame will be clear. So who all are there will be adjusted. Lighting, camera will adjust. Okay, the idea you are already giving to camera, subject you are deciding which kind of subject you are looking for. Of course these are not really professional ways of using it, but you can always utilize them, you can use them till the time you actually have the real, you know, manual mode of the camera and you're expert in them, you can still use them as a backup. So again, like sports mode, you can use this for sports mode, but it doesn't have to be actual sports happening, it can be any movement happening, any kid running on a bicycle, anyone taking, let's say an award ceremony is happening, somebody is moving like this, it will take continuous shots and it will be faster. So the idea to the camera is that fast movement, and I should get some different kind of shots or frames, so camera will go on that kind of setting. Okay, so this is the idea. How much time we have now?
1 hour.
Sorry? 1 hour. Okay, so you want to take a break now, 5 minutes, or shall I continue? Yes? Continue? Okay. Okay. Okay, meanwhile I will just circulate one camera so all of you can just have some usage and you can circulate and take pictures. Maybe you can take a good picture of the person sitting next to you. If he is convinced with the picture, that means you are a good photographer. Yes. Okay, this is for you, this side. You can also start rotating if you start using.
Sorry, where is this diopter that you said? This is the one.
Yes, this is the one, the very tiny
Which you
button.
just for your
Yes,
eyes?
as per your eyes.
And then the focus is here.
No. Focus will always be this. The button that
No,
you're
that's the
using
half
for
button.
taking. Yes.
You're talking about the AFS and AFC?
This is here. Automatic
Yeah.
from here. Okay. And
And
then
then-
other focus mode that if you want to select, you have to press I.
Yeah.
You bring it here.
This is where you
yes.
do.
You
Okay.
press OK from here, and then you can
Okay.
select any one of the modes that you're looking for. Here, so we can try some pictures here practically also by one of the cameras. So I did not bring any high-end cameras because it gives an impression that it's a expensive camera. That is why you are getting a good picture. So just basic camera, we will try to take some pictures here with whatever light is available. Okay, so the next important thing which you will hear a lot of time is the exposure. It's also very important in pictures. Any idea what is the exposure? What do you call exposure as? How much light falls on the center? How much light falls on the center? Okay, now I think you can add something on exposure this time. It's a long story. Yes, it's a very wide. It's like three hour topic is this. This itself can be one of the sessions. It's like that big. But anyway, I'll make it short. That exposure is all about the lighting that is there in your pictures, which is meaning how much amount of light, how long you want the light. All of that includes, in whatever image you're taking, and that is controlled under exposure. Exposure is not one button or one setting that you can do and you can adjust. It's a combination. But normally the idea is that when you see any picture around you right now, maybe when you are not a DSLR user, you say that this is a dark picture or a bright picture like this. Now when you become a professional and you will join some photography groups, over there people will not say for your picture, they will not say bad light or dark light or things like that. They will say bad exposure. good exposure, things like this. Why? Because the terminology will also change when you start using these pictures, because this is not only about lighting, it's about the whole complete environment of that picture. Okay. So now how we can see if it's a bad exposure? Okay. We can see if it's a bad exposure or not by checking in your picture if the focus done by you is visible or not. Okay. So whatever focus you are doing, if it's not visible on the subject, you cannot see the details of the subject, that means it's a bad exposure. Okay. And when you adjust the same picture, it becomes like this. Then you can see the focus area where you did the focus, you can see the details of that subject, and the lighting is correct on that subject and it complements it, that means this is a correct or good exposure. Okay. So as an overview, I'm just giving you a simple layman idea that this is how it works. Okay. So if your subject is giving right details and right subject, right focus, that means the exposure is correct. Now what are the levels in exposure? There are three kinds of exposure that we normally hear. Okay. So sometimes people will say your picture is underexposed, sometimes they will say optimal exposure, and sometimes they will say overexposed. Okay. So you have to get an idea what they mean by that word is that underexposed when you can hardly see the details of the subject and the focus of your picture, so it's all gone in the light, so it becomes underexposed. Then there is optimal exposure, which is the mid range, mid value, where you can see the detail also, you can also see the bright area which is there in the picture. Then there is overexposed, which is too much amount of light if you put on some picture, some environment, it becomes overexposed. So this is happening, let's say maybe in daytime when you're taking picture and you even put a flash, so it becomes overexposed. Sometimes you will see that the details of the face or something will become too bright. So that is your overexposed. Now in these are the three categories. Okay, which one do you think is the best out of all of them? Optimal. Okay, everyone agrees? Nothing else out of this?
Depends on what you want to
Depends
do.
on the object. The object, the focus, where you want to focus. If the focus of the object is like the building, that one will be
Optimal and
exposure.
overexposed.
Optimal and over. Okay. Somebody will say under also?
So that's all the focus.
Yes?
Where you focus.
So that means all three of them are good, not bad. So not wrong, meaning all three of them are not wrong. So idea is that these three are all what kind of picture you are doing. Okay, I will give you an example. You can see it here. The left side picture, person is there. Okay, portrait of a person underexposed. Okay. Of course, by that means that dark lighting. Okay, the whole frame you can see wrinkles, shadows in his face. Why it's done like this? Because the photographer is trying to show the mood of the person. Okay, the person is sad or angry. He doesn't have money. VAT is there. Petrol is high. Something like this. Some problem is there. Okay, so by showing the problem, of course, you don't write the sentence. Okay. So you just show it by changing the exposure on that same image, and you're showing that this is wrong and this is the problem. Okay. Now if you make this picture bright and colorful, then there is no problem. Then it's like nothing is wrong. Even the wrinkles, shadows will not be there. So all become correct and fine. So just by changing of that exposure, you can actually change the mood and the feel in that picture. You can give a message to the viewer that this is the kind of mood I'm trying to show. So that's my idea out of this. So same way, let's think of some examples. Where do you see this kind of photography? Underexposed pictures.
Black and white.
Black and white, but where do you see them normally? And even in everyday life, you see them common. Any idea? Mr. Babar can give some example. Which genre or which journalism? Exactly, photojournalism. You see in newspaper, you will see some crime or some some kind of reporting that they are doing. It's normally like this. Or let's say even a street picture that I can connect more with the viewer by showing that picture. Okay, so as a logic behind exposure, these are the three numbers in the camera. You see a lot of time keeps on changing here and there. These are the ones which are making exposure in your picture. Okay, by adjustment of them, you will see the correct exposure or the kind of exposure you're looking for. So as I told you, it's not a one button that you change, it's a combination of numbers. And when you will join some groups or places, you will see people are uploading pictures, they always share these 3 numbers, okay. So they don't say my picture is underexposed or my picture is overexposed, something like that. They will only share these numbers. By looking at the numbers, people understand that this is the kind of exposure this whole image is having, okay. If the lighting is different, the exposure will be totally different. Will have a different kind of number value, okay. So just as a change of balance, it will always show on your pictures. So those 3 that we are talking about are these 3. These are very common names if in photography. If you are linked or related to photography, you will always know them. Of course, details of them we will not do it in here today's session. We will discuss them later on in the next session. But just to give you an idea, these are the 3 which are the one which creates the exposure inside your pictures. And a lot of definitions you will find for them online also, okay. You can find only talking about the time of the picture. What is this time? Time of what? In the whole frame, what time you are looking for? Subject timing. How fast is your subject? How slow is your subject? If you are having kids in your frame, you will have a faster shutter speed. If you are having some grandparents in your frame, you will have a slow shutter speed because you know the movement will be very slow. So like that, first thing you always have to see is the timing in your whole frame. What is my timing? What is my area? What is my subject? As per that, you will set your shutter, because shutter will adjust as per their speed, and then only it will give you a sharp picture. If the shutter is not matching their speed, it will never give you sharp picture. It will be totally different. It might be a slower picture or very fast picture. So that all we can decide. More of the shutter we can discuss later on when we are discussing about the topic. Aperture, just to give you an idea, it's the opening. First thing, again let me go back to shutter. Where can you find shutter? It's inside the camera or the lens? Camera, right? It's a very general question, that's why I came back to it again, that I will ask all of you. So where is shutter? Inside the camera. Where is aperture? Inside the lens. Okay, so this is very common, and you should be clear on this, that aperture has got nothing to do with camera body. Camera body is only taking care of your shutter. Aperture is taken care inside the lens. So whatever is inside your lens, it's all about the aperture. Okay, so these two are, you're connecting both of them together, then only you're able to get a good picture. Okay, now this is aperture. The aperture is inside the lens because it is even coming before the shutter. So aperture decides how much amount of light you need in the picture. If you're opening bigger aperture, it will take bigger light. If you're opening smaller aperture, it will take less light. So that light comes to the shutter then, next step. Okay, so the taking of the light is through the lens, through the aperture, then only it goes towards the shutter. Now there is a third value which is ISO. What is your idea about ISO? Anyone knows it till here? Even in layman language, any idea you have on ISO, you can share. This is not any, this is not like a competition, we are just discussing, so it's a discussion, please.
Especially the light. The absorption of light.
Absorption of light. Okay. But how much light we are doing it from aperture also, right?
No, basically it's the sensitivity that we need, like the like picture, the entire picture, what exactly we are focusing and what do we want. Less light, more light. Basically, it's of lights.
It's the split of the
So
approach.
basically, it's just like an amplifier.
Yeah.
So whatever the light coming after adjustment of the shutter speed and aperture, you still think that if it's underexposed, then you can use the ISO as the last mile to amplify the signal to get the optimal exposure. If you have a shutter speed and aperture combination gives you a overexposed image, you can use the ISO to lower, to decrease the amplification of that signal and get the optimal exposure. That's what I was saying. It's
This-
amplify or decrease the level of the final signal that you are getting from the shutter speed and aperture.
This is exactly what I tell in my basic session. This is exactly the same word I use. This is amplifier. In your sound system, you have amplifier for sound. Same like that here, ISO works like an amplifier for light in your whole image. After setting up shutter and aperture, if you feel that still your picture is lacking something in terms of light, maybe bright light or lower light, you can only make changes in the ISO, and then you can overcome those defects or problems that you have inside your picture. So this works like an amplifier. It can amplify whatever settings you have done here. It will amplify it. You increase the ISO, it will amplify it. You decrease the ISO, it will decrease the sensitivity of the sensor. So basically sensor is there which is taking these two values. Okay. Now this sensor, you can decide how much sensitive you want this sensor to be. You want this to be less sensitive, maybe you remove one layer, you decrease the ISO. Maybe you want more sensitive, you increase one more layer, you make it more sensitive. Okay, so
it's always on the zero level in terms of like
100. It starts from 100.
Amplifies a bit because Baba said before that you can de-amplify. You cannot de-amplify. You cannot make it less sensitive than normal. You can bring it to normal sensitivity.
Yeah, you can bring it to normal.
But you
yes.
cannot de-amplify.
Yeah, you cannot go towards minus. You can bring it to zero.
Just to correct what you said.
Yes.
It's always either
yeah, you can bring it to the optimal, which is optimal. You can bring it to optimal or more. Okay, so it's only giving whatever settings you're keeping. It will try to amplify it. But it's always the last step that you do. Okay, you never start your picture with ISO. ISO always will be on a basic level. Okay, the starting value 100, but after adjusting them, then only you go towards ISO. Okay, so anyway, in detail we will discuss them later on in the next session. What I will discuss with you here is the most important thing. Okay, so here I will start with you with the not exactly ISO, but just as a real life example. We will try to just stimulate a situation. Okay, so this is like nothing to do with. You don't have to take picture of this, or you don't have to talk about this. But just as a question, you will try to give some ideas what we can do. Let's say you have a situation, you're taking picture in a kid's birthday party, and the camera you have is on a DSLR in a manual mode. Okay, so how do you start taking pictures in this situation? Okay, what will be the first value that you will keep in this environment? Okay, so it's a kid's birthday party, nighttime scene, candlelight is there, and there's hardly you see any light source inside in the room. Okay, so what is your setting here? First thing you will set as shutter or aperture? Shutter. First thing, shutter. As I told you, speed of the frame. You have to see what is the rate of movement. How is the movement in this frame? As I said, kids, so that means faster shutter speed, because kids will move here and there faster. Yes.
Just one question. Which one is the right? Which one is the right one? Because here is different than the other one.
Which meaning?
The other screen.
Because this screen is underexposed, that is crop exposure.
Oh,
See that?
oh, okay.
Which one is
So there's different light. Maybe from side it is showing you like this, but if you see straight, it is. Yes, this is an LED, so it will always be like that. For straight viewer, it will always be different.
Actually, this screen is not optimized to show the picture.
Yeah.
This screen is optimized to show the slides you see in the presentation.
And not for side view also, because I can see also, the boy is bald over here. From here I can see there's no hair showing to me. So only for straight viewing. So your angle actually. Yeah, maybe we can switch off. So for a situation like this, okay, so we will first thing we will adjust is the shutter. Okay, so faster speed of shutter, right? So when you make a faster shutter speed, you should know that the shutter becomes it tries to freeze the action, okay, very fast in the pictures. So how you can get some light in this frame is now you adjust towards you go towards aperture now. Okay, now in aperture, if you are keeping on this environment, what will be your aperture here? A smaller number, bigger number, like bigger opening, smaller opening? Bigger opening because you need more amount of light. Okay, but a bigger opening will give you a lot of other effects also in the picture, which is like you will see only one kid getting in focus and the rest of the background starts becoming defocused. This happens as a depth of field, this is like a bokeh effect. So wherever you see blur background happening, that all is happening as per the aperture. So anyway, that all detail we will discuss when we are talking about aperture. But right now, just to give you an idea, if we keep bigger number of aperture, again we can only take one kid in focus and the rest of the people or the kids which are sitting behind will start becoming defocused. Okay, so in order to get all of them in focus, unless you are taking picture of your child, you want him to be clear, then it's okay. But if you want the whole environment to be clear, you have to adjust aperture towards a bigger number. Okay, which makes the image again dark, because bigger number means the aperture becomes smaller. So when the picture becomes dark, now there are options there what you can do. You can use a flash here. Why not? Because of the candles. That's always the signal for you. Whenever you see candle light, you never use a flash because it can always give boom, like flash like this, and the whole candlelight effect will be gone. Because in evening also you will see in a lot of evening parties people use flash, but they are only using flash because there is no lighting effect like a candle light or something. Whenever they see that kind of light effect, they will always close the flash, they will not use it because they want to give environment feel. Okay, that whole environment should have this. So this is the hint, whenever you see this kind of lighting, you will not use a flash. So the only source here will be your ISO, and ISO will be your amplification for whichever light is coming. Now what ISO will do here is that ISO will take the light from here and amplify it in the whole scene. Okay, so it will increase the light in the whole scene. Now if in case candlelight effect candlelight is also not there, then even ISO cannot do anything. ISO also needs some light in background. Okay, then only it can amplify. So I'm just trying to clear you on that ISO without getting any light cannot do anything. Okay, so you need some backup, some light, something in background which can give some signal for ISO to amplify it in the whole scene. Now increasing ISO can sometimes also give you different kind of picture. For example, lesser ISO pictures like this, if you increase it unnecessarily, it makes the picture like this. There's noise and there is grain which starts coming in the picture. So there are some things that you can do in those kind of pictures to get a better picture. Okay? These are the different pictures that you can see. So what is wrong here in that picture? The wrong thing is not ISO. Mistake is something else. Shutter speed. Shutter speed is the mistake. Okay, because why shutter speed is a mistake? If you are putting shutter speed 1000 and this is a non-moving subject, you don't need 1000 shutter speed for a non-moving subject. You can keep a slower number of shutter speed and you can still get a bright picture. So idea is like this: you increase shutter speed, because of that you have to increase ISO also, which you should not do. Okay, so you should keep it on a lower scale, because you know that this is a non-moving subject, this is a stable subject. Stable subject, reasonably handheld speed of 1/60, and ISO also smaller, and you get a clear picture like this over there. Okay, now I will move to the last topic, which is this one. For basic, it's very basic, but just the last topic to give you an idea that all these settings you are doing, but then after doing these, there is still a major part of this that you should know. Okay, to make your pictures look professional. Sometimes you will do the correct setting, you are doing all correct in the lighting and everything, but if practically your picture is not correct like a professional, then it doesn't make it look like a high-end professional picture. So just by adjusting these small things, your pictures can look nice. Okay, first thing, this picture, what do you think is the position of this tree? No, position of the tree. This is correct or wrong?
Preferable to have on either side, other than the center.
Okay, anyone getting the idea what is wrong here?
It doesn't look nice. That's what I mean. No, if it's towards the side.
The object, yeah, they put
color.
rocks.
The lens.
So you should focus on the imagery while they are just improving.
Picture is not for that.
Not even not straight.
Okay, apart from color and the level of the ground and the background, okay, apart from all of that, there's still something on the positioning of this tree. Okay, so for example, if you have one single subject in your frame, where you should position that single subject? Left hand side. So left hand or right hand? Corner, any corner. Okay, why? Because this is a rule of thirds. You have to follow this rule. So what is the rule? That you position your subject on a corner where the line is intersecting. Maybe in your childhood you used to play a game, cross and zero. So this is the same thing. You draw lines, not in the picture actually, but in your mind. Okay, you just have to think of them. So when the horizontal line is intersecting the vertical line, that's your spot for keeping the subject. Okay, so the subject is no more in center. When you keep it in center, it's breaking the rule of thirds, and you have to. This is a rule of photography. Okay, of course nobody can stop you from breaking it, but this is like rule for, let's say, for sometimes you have to even break it if you're creating something which is very different from other people. If you are showing something round or circle in your picture, you cannot show corner round. You have to show in a proper round area. So that's the area. These are some exceptional cases that you can do. But apart from that, you have to position it in a way that it is leading your eyes towards the picture, not in flat in center. So something like this. Okay, leaving always one space on corner to show background. One side the background is not divided, and there's not like half here this side, half here this side. You have one side to show all the attraction. There is one leading space is there, which is creating an attraction for your eye also. As a human, it attracts. Then placing it like the same tree, if you place it the same way, it becomes like this. Now you have some leading space on the subject which is there, and you have some background to show. And then leveling and all that you can still adjust as per your signal. So you are keeping it on the line which is intersecting. So this level, I was telling you that if your level of ground, okay, apart from subject, you have to maintain this level also, because this is same like this. For example, if you're taking pictures of kids, you will not take it from top like this. You will go to their level and then you take picture. So it should always be in your eye level. Okay. So if it's in your eye level, then you can see the real you can say the layer or the level of the subject. So it should always be, let's say some person is sitting on a chair, you will not take from top like this. You will go on his level and then you take a picture that will look much more professional than the pictures if you're taking from the top like that. Same thing if you apply this on a human. Okay, if you keep it on a center like this, it will look like maybe he's wearing the suit for the first time, or something like a new picture, posing first time on for the picture, or like a jail picture, maybe forced to take a picture like this. So you can do some adjustment. You ask him to go on a corner, and maybe then body also a little tilt like that, not straight body, because if you keep straight body here, that also will look very odd. So you have to position something in the body also. So now it looks much more professional than the regular picture that we do around us. So I'm not saying that you can only do this in a DSLR. Whatever mechanism you're using right now also for taking picture, you can still adjust these things within that also. At least it will make the base in your mind, and then later on you can shift to buy to a Nikon camera. Just joking. Okay, so another tip is that when you're taking the same picture in, let's say, a wide angle, should never take a wide angle picture of a person like this. Okay, why? What will happen is that if you are leaving it like this, there is a lot of things happening in this frame. Okay, so person is there, but there is background information, there is building, there is floor, there is houses, there is water, so many things are happening. So that's why we say that you should fill your frame with the subject. If you fill your frame like this with the subject, it's much more interesting and it looks more professional than having it on a wider angle. So what you can do for this, maybe you can go close to him. If not close, then you can zoom in. Okay, so zooming in can also still close your frame towards the subject who is there in the frame, and can still give you much more details on the subject who is standing. Now there is another thing which you can do with the pictures. You can, as I was telling you, that single point you can use for focus selection. Okay, so this focus selection works like this: you select the front person, the background person will start becoming blur. Okay, maybe you are in a situation, maybe you want to avoid some people, maybe your mother-in-law is there, you can remove some points from there, you put the point on the front person is there. So background becomes blur. Now same thing you can apply on the other person which is in the background. So you put that point, same point on the background, the front person will start becoming blur. So it is all happening on the focus point where you are selecting. So you can decide and you can place it on as per your selection, and you can clear the unwanted area in the picture like this. Same thing on another tip here is the time of capture. Whenever you are trying to take picture, you should see the timing. Okay, most of the time here in Middle East we take picture around sunrise or sunset, not in the midday. Okay, if you're taking around sunrise and sunset, you should know that the light time will immediately change, very fast in changing. Sun goes down very fast, sun comes up very fast. So you have to keep changing your setting immediately, as per few minutes. You cannot keep this setting that you are using here, you cannot use the same for this one. Okay, so immediately lightings will start changing. So you have to keep watching that. Now if you are taking a picture around midday time, okay, like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. something like this, then you don't have to worry about the sun, because still that time it will take a lot of time to move from that space. You can still follow the same setting in the camera. But on this situation you have to see it, because sometimes people in excitement, they keep on taking picture. They don't realize what is happening. The light is completely changing in each frame. So by the time they started bright pictures, by the time they end, it was already dark. And then they realize, oh, I forgot to change the ISO or something like this. So you have to keep changing here. Okay. Now another thing on the on the positioning. For example, you want to take a picture of a person, but you also want to show the background. Okay. Now here, this picture, what is this picture about? Any idea? It's about the building, about the car, about the road. It's car in front of the building, wrong parking maybe. Oh, security guard. Okay. So this is the problem. So don't take pictures like this where the viewer looking at the picture is lost. What is this about? Okay, so you have, if maybe you're showing the person is standing to the background, because here a lot of time maybe it will happen, some people are here, you are taking them to show around, maybe Burj Khalifa or something. You take their picture, when you take a picture, it's already lost. There's already so many people coming in frame and the building is also there. So you have to make sure that you ask him to maybe come closer. Okay, if they come closer, still the building is coming. And they are also there in the frame, so it makes sure that the picture is about them and they are showing that I'm visiting this place and I can see in the background.
This is a classic or a requirement when you're on tour and you're
Yes.
in front of a landmark.
Yes.
You want somebody
Yes.
in front of the landmark.
Yes, yes, both should be there. This is an example that most of us struggle for this, because when we take picture, it's only either the building is there or we are taking a wide frame, that everyone is mixed up. So we need to have subject in closer, so we know that the picture is about them, and then we are still taking the bright. And then if you feel it's becoming darker on the person, at that time you can use a flash also, because a person who's close to you can still take the light of flash. Okay, when they were far enough, your flash is not even reaching them. So you have making them closer, you can still use the flash, and using the flash in daylight is still not considered wrong. It still can be helpful for you. Okay, then something on the portrait pictures. When you take portrait pictures, don't take them like this, that you have a lot of background and the tree is coming out of his head or car is hitting his neck. Okay, so things like this will become funny. Now, for example, we do a lot of contests, so people are submitting pictures online in our Facebook. When they submit, sometimes the portrait is really nice, but they don't see what is happening in the background. Okay, Maybe in background you will see somebody standing for taxi, or some, you know, some person is walking and or cleaning or something like this. That is happening in background. They are only caring about their portrait. So it's not like that. You should see what is in the background. If maybe you can change the background, better to change. Okay, shift the person. If you cannot shift the person, then you start using your blur to remove that background. Unwanted background can be removed by just increasing the blur. Of course, there are some settings. You can change the aperture setting. You can zoom in on the person. That kind of background will still be gone. Then after that, portrait pictures. Normally, people think, when you ask somebody that I'm taking a portrait picture of you, they will immediately become, you know, very serious. Okay, this is a portrait picture. I cannot move or something. So it's not like this. You can tell them to relax, and they can be, you know, funny. Even a smiling picture can also be a portrait picture. Okay, it doesn't have to be very serious and, you know, limited to that expression that we see on a Mona Lisa picture. Okay, you can even change your expression. Unless, you know, until you're following the guidelines of having the picture, you know, till the elbows, okay, that can, and the both shoulders are there. It should not be like one shoulder is there, other one is not there, one hand is there, other one is not there. All should be balanced, but still you can change the framing. You can still create it in a way that it can look a better portrait. Okay, then after that there is a idea that if you are using autofocusing on the camera, if you go very close to subject, this is a common mistake that people do, that if they really go close to that, they start taking picture, the camera will not do anything. Camera will not focus. Why? Because there is a limitation on the lens. Okay, it depends on each lenses. When you go close to the subject, when you press the button, the camera will not autofocus because you are very close. So you have to maintain some distance. If you go back one step also, you will see that it starts focusing. So one way for doing this is that you either can stay back and then you zoom in from the lens. You can still go close to it by zooming in. You don't need to take the body of the camera closer so that the infinity level that is there, that distance is already crossed. This you can do, like going closer with the body, you can do with using a macro lens, because that is made for that kind of situation. But for regular lenses, or you cannot go that close. So you step up behind and then you can still take this picture. Okay, another very common thing is shooting against light. A lot of people face this. Okay, now if you're shooting against light, sun is above the head of the person, there will be shadows on the eyes and the neck because the sun is here. So it's giving shadows. How can you eliminate this? You can change your position. Okay, maybe you make the sun go behind the photographer so that the light is going on the face of the person. It can fill in the light. Okay. Now just in case if you cannot do this, so what you can do, because let's say there is a sunset happening, you want to capture that sunset behind that person. So in that case, if you increase brightness, then the sunset will not be showing you in the picture, that environment of the sunset. So what you do? Speed light. You will use a built-in flash. Even built-in flash can make a big difference here, because that flash will fill in the light in the shadows, in the eyes and in the neck. So whatever shadows you were having, it will be filled in by the flashes. And still you have the subject there, the sun is behind the subject, and you can still see the sunset environment happening in the background, and the portrait is also very properly lit and there is light on their faces. So this is the tip that you can follow on that. Okay, so this is something which I already discussed with you, that normally for situations where you don't have a tripod, you can look for a stable surface to take pictures where you are slowing down your shutter. For example, night cityscapes also, which is very common example, because normally people struggle with that. If you're taking a night cityscape in Dubai and then you are pressing the button and thinking that the picture is dark, so what to do? If you add flash, it's not making any sense. If you increase ISO, it's not making any sense because it will give noise. So the only way for doing this is that you put the camera on a tripod and you lower down your shutter speed. So then what will happen is when the shutter opens for a long time, it is automatically making the picture bright. And still the movement is not there because the camera during that whole time is on a stand. That can still make good quality pictures and a bright picture. You don't need to increase that shutter. Yes.
I see you are on your slide 175 out of 237.
Yes.
It's by, we're already out of time.
No. This is already done. This is finished.
What's these slides?
No, that number is. Don't worry. This is a shorter version of the longer version. Okay, that's it. So we are finished now. This is the last one. This is Nikon School DigiTutor that online is available. You can search for it on Google. If somebody wants to go through some operations or something online, you can go for it. Apart from this, I will still share again the links if for some people who forgot to note them down for Nikon School. Okay, it's hanging now.
Thank you.